Okay, before we have shown the trigger, the definition, right? And the trigger is shown as in this page. So let me introduce this trigger in depth for you for one row by row as shown in the definition. In the definition, we have one row. This first row is very easy to understand, right? We can create a trigger with a trigger name. It's nothing to say about this. Then we check the first row on the event after insert on sales. This after denoting the timing, right? This insert denoting the action in the event, right? On the sales denoting the relation we're working on right now. So actually everything we showed for the row can be changed. So after can also be changed to before as well. It denotes the timing, right? Either the trigger is before or after the event. Also, if the relation is a view, we can also use this instead of as timing. So it provides a great way to execute view modifications and also having triggers translate them to appropriate modification on the base tables. I hope you still remember what the view, right? View is defined based on the base tables. It's a virtual table, right? And we can also use it as like a table in the trigger as well. So this after denoting the timing, we can change the after to before to instead of. Everything can be changed here. Besides the timing, we can also change this insert to some other actions. We can change insert to delete to update. In other words, we can change this after insert on sales to like a before update on sales, before delete on sales, and etc. However, according to our problem, we have to use this after insert on sales for our example here. But when I define some other triggers, this can be changed to some other keywords instead. Okay, this is for the event. Besides the events, we also need to talk about this for each row here, right? For each row we are mentioning, we are working on the tuples. For each new tuple we are inserting here, we need to make some changes. We need to check the conditions, right? Actually, this can also be changed as well. So the trigger can be either the row label or statement label. Row label means for each row indicate the row label, and its absence will indicate a statement label. If we don't have it for each row, it will be a statement label trigger. And row label trigger are executed once for each of the modified rows or tuples. Meanwhile, a statement label trigger can execute once for an SQL statement, regardless of how many tuples are modified. You see the difference, right? The row label is for a specific tuple we modify here. However, statement label is for an SQL statement. It can make some changes to so many tuples. However, regardless of how many tuples are modified, this trigger will be executed, right? If we don't have it for each row here. Okay, here we are working on each row, right? Therefore, we have to write down this for each row inside the trigger. If we are running this trigger for the statement label, then we can ignore, we can delete this for each row in the trigger definition. Besides this, we also need to talk about this referencing new row and new tuple. This reference can also work on either the tuple level or statement level. If we are working on the tuple level, the insert implies a new row, right? If we insert into a table, we can create a new row, right? And if we have the delete as action, it implies an old row, right? Here we are working on this insert on the sales table. Therefore, we can have a new row, right? Therefore, we have this referencing new row as new tuple. However, if we do a delete in the event, like after delete on sales, we will need to write referencing old row as a name, right? And delete will imply old row. And if we do the update, because update means we can change the old row into a new row, right? If the event we have is after update on sales, then referencing we can refer to both the new row and old row, because it implies both. This is for the tuple level based referencing. We can also work on the statement level based referencing. It always have old and new tables for the statement levels. In other words, if we have the trigger to be statement level, then here we can referencing new tables and old tables instead of this new row and old row. Therefore, we can change referencing this line Before we have referencing new row as a name, right? We can change referencing to some other templates as referencing either new or old, either row or table as a name. I hope you can follow me, right? If we are working on insert on a table level, we can referencing new row, right? If we're working on delete on a table level, we can referencing old row, right? Because we delete a row, we can access an old row, right? If we are working on this update, then we can have referencing both new row and old row. We can provide them with different names. This table level, if we are working on statement level for the trigger, then we can have referencing new table as well as referencing old table as different names, right? It allows us to have access to the data before and after the events. This is for referencing. Besides referencing, another part in the trigger is called condition, right? Condition describes a Boolean expression to check if the condition is true or not. Before here, in this trigger, we have when this new tuple dot beer, this new row, right? We insert into a sales table. Its beer name is not in the beer's table. It will return a Boolean value, right? When is the timing a keyword? Actual expression can be changed to other expressions as well, describing a specific condition for the trigger. The general for the condition, any Boolean value of the condition can be used here. It is evaluated before or after the trigger events, depending on the keywords we use here. If we have after, then the condition will be checked after this event. If we have the before for the event, then the condition will be checked before the event. Depending on the keywords we use to define the event here. It is evaluated before and or after the trigger events, depending on whether before or after is used in the event. It will access the new and old tuples or the old tables through the names we declare in the reference clause. Inside, we have to use some attributes as well as the row or tables, right? Therefore, we have the new tuple as a name because we declare the new row as a new tuple as shown here. If we are declaring this name for tables, we can also use the table dot something, right, in this condition as well. This is a condition, and last part will be the action. In this trigger definition, the action we're using here is to insert into the BS table, right? And we will provide the specific attribute we're inserting because we only have the beer names. We insert into beers the name with value of this new tuple dot beer, this value, right? This is the action we can write here, and this action can be changed to any other SQL statement as well. If we have more than one SQL statement in action, and we can surround them with begin and end. Here in this trigger, we only have one action, right? We only have one statement, insert, right? If we have multiple statements, then we can have begin, and inside it we have so many different statements inside it, surrounded by this begin and end. And here we are doing the action, right? We make some changes to tables. In other words, all the action we are doing here, we make some modification to tables, right? And normally the queries make no sense in action because the query makes no changes to tables. It just returns a value, and it doesn't make changes or modification to tables. Normally for the action, this part we only use this modification statements instead. So this is for the action. So far we have divided trigger row by row, line by line, and one part for you already, right? I hope you can follow me for the triggers. And at the very end, let's do an example together.